Hey, what's up, guys? This is part 5 in the series 4K Nightmare / Journey and What You Can Learn. For those of you that are new to the channel, hi, my name is Brian. This is the Whisper Status channel. The other 4 parts are on the channel. I'm sorry, I don't know how to put it into the description, so you're going to have to go back and look. I apologize for that. What this little series is about, it's about 2016, the year that I spent countless amount of hours, time, and money on 11 different displays, ranging from mid to the highest of high end, and how I dealt with all of the returns, the defects on all the models, dealing with the manufacturers, and a lot of lessons that I learned and where the blame actually was on me, and what I learned and what mistakes I made with my judgments and things of that nature. So for the first 4 parts, please go back to the other videos. And this last part, this video is actually going to be shorter than the others. This is the Sony 940E. The video you're seeing is actually the Sony 940E, which is my current display. So the video, or the TV we're going to be speaking about, is the 75-inch 940E. Now this one is a tough one because out of all the other displays that are on this series, the 940E was not defective. And that's what makes this one tricky. All the other displays that I had, just to run them through quick, were the 65-inch Samsung JS 9000, 75-inch Vizio P-Series, 75-inch KS 9000, 78-inch KS 9500, 78-inch KS 9800. Now we are on the 75-inch Sony 940E. For those of you that didn't see the other parts, please go back to those videos as they're very long and very detailed. But every one of those displays, except for the initial Samsung JS, were defective. Flash lighting, edge lip lead, dead pixels, line defects, vertical banding, screen uniformity issues. It was endless. And in each step of the way, I was told by either the manufacturer or by the retail spot, be it Amazon or Best Buy, that was how it was intended to be. So a lot of these lessons have been, first and foremost, not accepting defective displays for any reason. Namely because once you are done with your window of return, whether it's Best Buy or Amazon, and as you get higher in the price range, whether it's Best Buy Elite or Amazon Prime, dealing with their concierge division, which is over $2,000, you end up with twice the return window. I want to say it was 40 days for Best Buy and maybe 40 days for Amazon Prime. Once you were out of that window, if you're out of that window for even a day, now you were left with the manufacturer. And the manufacturer, for instance, with Samsung, dead pixels are fine as long as they're not in the middle of the screen. I believe they allow 11 dead pixels. LG with their OLED line, I believe they do not cover burn-in. So if you're past your 1-year warranty, or they're just not very helpful. Sony is no better. They're all actually pretty terrible. So what I want to press upon you is to make sure that when you buy a TV or a monitor, is push it hard when you get it. Watch all kinds of content on it. Make sure you give it a thorough workout because you want to be within that window. Then you're also going to find the more money you spend, the more pushback you're going to get from the retailer. If you buy something that is over a few $1,000s, believe me, Best Buy doesn't want it back. They will sell it as an open box. At Best Buy, I remember having like 5 of my TVs there as open boxes. And guys, as you're listening to these videos or seeing me on the channel, I am not a negative person. I'm not even a picky person. To be honest, if any one of those TVs, even the Vizio that I had, I didn't love it, but I would have kept it. But what this journey has shown me is that I started to spend my way to the top. I started spending double and almost triple my initial investment to just be done with it. Which I do feel is sometimes their design, is to have you just buy more and more and more. So to go back to the last video, we were on a Samsung KS9800, which was Samsung's flagship. The TV retailed for $12,000. I picked it up for $10,000. Very similarly priced to the Sony Z9D. And I have to admit that once I had spent that money, in order to not feel like a complete idiot, I became a little bit of a flagship snob. Not that it matters or you're saying it to anybody who will listen, but I felt like, well, I'm on the flagship, so I can't go back down. Now, I want you guys just for a little while, just picture that whatever dream display you have in your mind, you bought it, you get it home, you tell your partner, your husband, your wife, yeah, this is the money I spent. They think you're crazy, and then it doesn't work. And then where do you go? You can't go up any higher. And in 2016, there wasn't any higher. The KS9800 was the highest display in Samsung's line. At the time, the Z9D hadn't been out yet. There was nothing competing with it. Or it had been out, but in my opinion, the Z9D was a step back. OLED, it was only going up in size. So I needed the peak brightness, and I needed the HDR performance, and I needed the input lag. So the way this video was really going to start is, listen to what I'm saying. I'm already chasing numbers. I'm already discounting that I can't go back down to a certain manufacturer or a certain tier simply because I foolishly spent enough money to be at the flagship, and got pretty snobby about it. I didn't want to go backwards. I'd already seen the brightness. I had already seen the HDR performance, and I had 1400 nits on my mind. I had 19 milliseconds of input lag on my mind. I can give you the specs of all these TVs in my sleep because of the research and the amount of wasted time poring over numbers and really trying to convince myself that I couldn't go backwards. So I was in conversations with artthings.com through Facebook Messenger, and they recommended the Sony 940E to me. It hadn't been released yet at the time, and thought it would be a really good option from Samsung. The interesting thing is I had absolutely no desire to get involved with Sony. I had had their displays years ago. I didn't like how their 2014 or 2015 or even 2016 line was looking. I had no desire to get involved with them for 2017. And Best Buy employees were really trying to push the 940D on me, though I knew the schematics and I knew the specs to not be what I wanted. They really tried to push that display, and I didn't want it. So I had no desire to be near Sony. I just didn't have any desire to get involved with them. I didn't like the edge lit technology they were using. I didn't like that the 940E was only one size. So now that the video is going on for a while, it's enough backstory. I settled on the 940E. I had ordered it foolishly before Artings actually had a chance to review it. And that's important as well. As a lot of you are seeing the 900F on some channels, it's also in Artings lab. So my advice is to really wait until some of these reviewers really go through their steps and through their review analysis. I like Artings simply because they go so overboard. HDV Test Vincent goes pretty thorough, but I like Artings because they do break down the pixel response, the blur, things that gamers appreciate. They do point those things out, so wait until they're done reviewing. So I had ordered the Sony 940E. I know some of you on the channel have it. You've also bought it due to my recommendation. Like I said before, the 940E was the one display I returned that was not defective. So I want to make that very, very clear. So I had ordered it. I was going to wait a certain amount of time for it. I still had the KS9800. And sometimes these TVs take 10 days, 15 days. So I waited. I stayed with my 9800 till the 940E arrived. 2 or 3 days before the 940E arrived, Artings had their review up, and it got a 5 for motion and pixel response. And same with the Z9D, by the way. And what I really should have done at that time was just cancel my order. Instead, I went against And they actually contacted me and told me, I know you're a big gamer. This display is not optimal for games. And I still had that flagship, thought process in my mind. They said that they thought the Sony 940E would be a better pick for me. And I went over to the 900E and I looked at its specs. And the specs just weren't anywhere near the KS9800 or the 9000. So to put that in the proper context of, say, 2017, that's like looking at a 900E in comparison to the 930E or the Z90. It just didn't seem to stack up numbers wise. So the 900E wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to have anything to do with that display. I was going to let the 940E come. And as I got the 940E, you guys can see it on this channel. It's way back, but I did several videos on the 940E. Initially, I loved it. And to be honest, picture quality wise, I thought pound for pound, it really hung in there against the flagship KS9800. Amazing blacks, many zones, very little blooming at all. Gorgeous picture. Very, very bright, but not blindingly bright, but very deep. Sony has sustainable brightness, so their peak brightness doesn't dissipate as quickly as some of the other manufacturers. So by seeing this display, I was in love with it. I thought I was all set. And then I saw a little bit of vertical banding down the middle of the screen. And even at this time, I said, you know what, fine, I'm actually okay. That's normal. Displays at 75 inches, guys, are going to have some screen uniformity issues. Just be in mind, if you're going from 55 to 75, you're going to see some DS. It's just a lot of real estate and a lot of glass to cover. So I stayed with the 940E for a few weeks, ran it through some games. I ran it through the games they said struggled, which was cell shaded animation, side scrolling animation, Street Fighter, things of that nature. I had no issues with it at all. And then when I started running my first person shooters, my Battlefields, my Call of Duties, I did notice the blur. It could have been circumvented by their black insertion, which is the clear feature on the 2016 displays, which dims the picture a bit but adds frames in between frames to create a smoother image, but it darkens the image quite a bit. You can find that video on how to do that on the channel as well. And I try to stay with it, guys, but being a first-person shooter fan, yeah, the input lag was low, but I couldn't focus. If I turned too quickly, I would lose my opponent, which is why those of you that bought the 940E on my recommendation bought it specifically for movies, for streaming, and the majority of you are very happy with it, as it is gorgeous. But for gaming, it just did not work out for me. So what is the big lesson on this video is really, guys, know your usage. Know exactly what you're using that display for. Example, if you're somebody who's going to be watching a lot of kids movies or a lot of regular TV, OLED might not be the best choice for you. OLEDs suffer from burn-in. You have to be careful with them. So if you're watching a Nickelodeon channel for 5 hours, that's probably not the display for you. For me, I'm a huge gamer. My display downstairs in this little media room of mine is 80% gaming. I have kids and I'm married, so my TV or movie watching is really upstairs with a projector and with my plasma. So knowing my usage, knowing that the 940E struggled with motion blur, I still took a shot at it. And I almost got stuck with it, guys. Here's the other lesson. When you want to return a display, other than it being defective, you cannot tell them you just don't like it. Unless you're really close with the retailer, not liking it, whether it's Amazon. And Amazon assured me, because they helped me through the last 3 or 4, that if I didn't like the display, there would be no problem. So I sent it back. Another lesson, by the way, guys, if you were sending back a display, this is where I got in trouble. I had one sending back that they didn't credit for me for, assured me it'd be on in 2 days, and then I bought the 940E. The point is, I had 2 TVs, one was $6,000, one was $9,000 on my credit card. And they lost the high-end 9800. So I was on the hook for all these displays. So make sure they credit you before you buy another TV. That should be common sense. That was my fault. But when you're going through this kind of stuff with these TVs, it will mess with your judgment. So here I am, 940E. Now I really feel hopeless. I have 1400 nits on my mind. I have 19 milliseconds on my mind. Yet this TV still does not fit my needs. Call Amazon. Hey, no problem. We'll credit you the money back. They come in. I buy the 900E. That'll be the next video. As the 940E goes back, a few weeks later, I'm not getting credited back. And then I get an email saying the credit went through and it was down $1,000. They are charging me a restocking fee and a shipping fee. Even though shipping is free, guys, it is not free to pick it up if the display is not defective. So I spent about an hour on the phone with them, got my full refund back, and also stand by your guns, guys. Make sure you get that money back. But my lesson was, especially with Best Buy, do not tell them you don't like it. I don't want you to be disingenuous, but this is not the way it is. If you buy an oven and you don't like it, they don't take it back. They'll only take it back if it's defective. Same with displays. And Best Buy has also changed. I think they only give you 5 returns or something like that. So know your usage. Know what you're using that display for. If you're somebody who is streaming and watching movies, 940E is very hard to beat. It is actually Sony's flagship display for 2016, or I'm sorry, 2017, because the Z9D is actually a 2016. So here we are. I'm stuck on the flagship moniker. I let it impair my judgment. I chased the numbers, even though I knew it had a glaring weakness that would affect my usage. Again, streaming, movies, it's awesome. Excellent display, not expensive for 75 inches of full array. It's very close to the Z9D in terms of its picture quality. But for me, I compromised. I chased the wrong numbers. I got a little too obsessed with the spec sheet, and I let it impair my judgment, and I almost got stuck with it. And the next purchase was the Sony 940E, which will be the final video of this series. So in short, guys, after 17 freaking minutes, is after all the displays that I spent, it really does damage your point of view. It really does make you go from having a certain dollar range that you've discussed with your family, or if you're single, and you start to compromise that as these displays were more and more defective. You start to go up higher, higher, and higher. And to be honest, the higher I went, the worse things got. The more bells and whistles these displays had, the more issues there were. The larger they were, the more problems they were. A lot of you guys are experiencing this with displays now, with faulty displays and defective displays, and I encourage you to hit me up on Instagram. Send me pictures of your displays. I've already helped some of you guys with sending back displays. Now, this isn't against any of the manufacturers. Samsung, LG, Sony, to me, they're all terrible in their customer service, and the panel lottery is legit, meaning that it all depends on what you get. It all depends on which, if you got the TV that works. There's plenty of defective 900Es, plenty of defective OLEDs, plenty of defective Samsungs, and that's just luck of the draw, unfortunately. So I'm Whisper Status. My name is Brian. Thank you so much for listening to the video. I know it's very long, but I hope you learned something from the journey that I take or have taken with 4K, and how it has made, actually some of you that reached out to me really quickly have actually just gotten rid of your 4K displays and went back to 1080p. So some of you know the journey I've been on. You've been on it yourself. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so very much. The next video will be on the final display that I have, which is a Sony 900E, which is what you're looking at. It is mid-tier, if you can imagine. So we really came full circle. And that's it. Like I said, thank you so very much. Thank you for the comments and all the encouragement. And I will talk to you all very soon.